It's not going to work today. Good morning. Am I live? Am I live? Can you see me? Am I live? Let me know if you can see me, hear me, feel me. Oh, Ella's watching. Felix is watching. So far, so good. Yes, is anyone else there? Oh, Ella and Felix, could you just let everybody know that we're live? Delrose, we're live. Thank you so much, everybody. We are having some technical difficulties. This is one of the features of the new lockdown. Everybody's online. So God bless you. Sorry about that. I just want to say that welcome to 2021. We're continuing with our messages on the letter of James. We have finally triumphed. And so love and joy and peace to everybody. God's peace and love to you. The message that I want to share with you this morning, I feel is very timely because it comes at a time when many of us are still thinking and planning about the year ahead. We are envisioning the things that we want to do and the kinds of people that we want to be. Many of us have envisioned or are engaged in some kind of reflective activity. We'll be reading from a range of wise people, gurus and others. And I think it's at this point that James comes and speaks to us. And so I'm in James chapter 3, verses 13 to 18. And I'm reading from the New Revised Standard Version. James says, "Who is wise and understanding among you? Show by your good life that your works are done with gentleness born of wisdom. But if you have bitter envy, selfish ambition in your hearts, do not be boastful and false to the truth. That type of wisdom does not come from above, but is earthly, unspiritual, and demonic. For where there is envy and selfish ambition, there will be disorder and wickedness of every kind. But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy and good fruits, without a trace of partiality or hypocrisy. And the ultimate outcome is a harvest of righteousness sown in peace for those who make peace." As we read this passage, I think that the passage is thick with deep analysis and insight as to what constitutes heavenly or godly wisdom. Remember, in James's writings, wisdom is more than mere intellectualism. A wise person isn't someone who is in Mensa, but a wise person is someone who has mastery in the art of living a good life. A wise person for James is someone who is skilled at living well. It's a person whose life is fully integrated. There is an absolute harmony between what that person says, what they do, and who they are. There's no pretense, there's no hidden agenda, there is no hypocrisy, and certainly no manipulation. You see their wisdom or success showing up in the quality of their relationships, their lifestyle, and their conduct. The words balance, integrity, integration, harmony, wholeness, maturity, and growth still come to mind when we think about James. If you take time to listen to James, you'll see that James carefully and thoroughly unpicks the deep interior emotional currents that drive our behavior. And I suggest that we, through James, seek to be called from above as opposed to be driven from below. What I want to do this morning is just take some time to share with you how James illustrates and drives home his point, and how he contrasts wisdom from above with wisdom from below. If I wanted to call this message a title, I would call it Wisdom from Above. Passionately pursue wisdom from above. I'm going to say that again. Passionately pursue wisdom from above. Okay, so wisdom from below. James identifies a range of features of wisdom from below. First and foremost, it's bitter. And this comes from the Greek word which has the idea of a piercing. So someone has been stuck with a dart that has been poisoned. It's sharp, it's pungent, it's acrid. So the idea is a person who has been wounded with a poison dart, and as a result of that, they are toxic. Bitter. Bitterness. And when a person is bitter, bitterness pervades everything they do. And then related to bitterness is this word envious. Okay? From the Greek zelos, from where we get the word zeal and zealousness. That this is a person whose emotional life, inner life, is on fire and out of control. They are fixated at what they want, to the exclusion to what other people might want or need. They are fervent and fierce in their pursuit of their own agenda and what they want. They are envious of others, and they are filled with contentious rivalry and jealousy. That's wisdom from below. And we see that showing up in various ways. And I want us not to look at what's happening in the news. I want us to look at what happens in our own hearts. And then we have selfish ambition. This is scheming, intrigue, playing one group or one person off against another to get what you want. It's self-seeking, it's self-serving, it's fractious and it's factious. These kinds of people are divisive. These are the kind of people that will whisper to one person and say, well, do you know this other person may be saying this about you? And then they get that person to talk. Then they'll phone to the other person that they've just been talking about and say, oh my God, I was just with X, Y, and Z. And they were saying something against. And the purpose of it is to sow confusion and discord so that they can get ahead. And then, of course, we've got boastful. And this word means somebody who exaggerates. These are the kind of people who lie on their CV. These are the kind of people, when you're working with them and you do a project, they never give credit. They take credit for everything. They lie about their achievement. They falsify their certificates. They say they have things they don't. They wear they wear ties for schools they never went to. Okay? They're false to the truth. This means this person will bend and break reality so that it fits the narrative that they have constructed. They have a poor relationship with the truth. And then they're earthly. And what this means is they are limited to their personal perspective, parochial in their concerns. They are short-term in their thinking and short-sighted in their vision. Then James says this kind of wisdom is also unspiritual. And I was interested in this word because it's the word psychikos, where we get the word psychology. And what it means is this person is adept at appealing to the senses, adept at using persuasive arguments to kind of mesmerize and intellectual sleight of hand to appeal to sensuality and what feels good, what is instant in terms of gratification, as opposed to what is genuine and what is real and what benefits a person in the long term. The most scary part of James's definition or description of earthly wisdom, of worldly wisdom, is that it's demonic. Literally in the Greek, diabolical. In other words, when you think about a person who is demon possessed, they are possessed by a spirit. They are manipulated. They are totally dominated. And that's what this kind of wisdom does. It seeks to possess, to manipulate, to totally dominate the personality of other people to their detriment and their demise, just as long as you get ahead. James is saying you need to be careful about what's driving you, about what's pushing you, about what's going on the inside of you. Ultimately, this kind of wisdom is disordered, it's confused, it's unstable, it's disturbed, unsettled and unsettling. It's in a state of permanent flux. It never settles down. Okay, and when you have this kind of stuff going on, James says there is wickedness of every kind. This worldly wisdom dominates the system, is fundamentally flawed and is broken. And when we think about the total impact, it's disorder and wickedness of every kind. What's driving you? What kind of wisdom are you looking for as you plan ahead? What does success look like for you in 2021? What's driving you to your achievements in 2021? Then James talks about wisdom from above. The first thing about wisdom from above in James is that it's pure. That means it's free from fault. It's immaculate. Think of a refreshing, pure stream of water that's untainted. And that's what James is saying. He wants us to have the kind of character that is pure without taint. There's a purity of intention and motivation. And then it's peaceable. This is not just the absence of strife, but genuinely harmonious relationships. The outcome of each interaction is harmony. It doesn't start in harmony maybe, but because it's peaceable, it tends towards peace. This kind of wisdom results in harmony. It's not your way or my way, but together we think and we work out so that we develop not your way or my way, but our way, a synergistic third alternative. This kind of wisdom is gentle. It's not pushy, but it's equitable. It's fair-minded. Think about people who are on their way to getting what they want. They support other people to get what they need. They reach back and give other people a hand. I was thinking about myself in supermarkets. Sometimes I can be so fixated on what I want that and also in the pandemic, I'll be pushing past people to get the products and the bits I want. But I see people in the supermarket stopping and helping other people. This is what the Bible's speaking about. Wisdom from above. It's gentle. This is one of the most powerful things about this kind of wisdom. It's willing to yield. The wisdom from above is willing to yield.
Hallelujah.
This is a person who's open to reason. They're not stuck or fixed in their thinking or positions, but they can be persuaded through sound argument and reasoned ethical principles. That is, they are easy to be entreated. They are open to wisdom. The Bible also says, James says, wisdom from above is full of mercy. My goodness, full of mercy. That is, this person is compassionate and empathetic. They are moved with a desire to see others thrive and will work to improve the conditions of those who are in distress. Wisdom from above. Then James says when you have this wisdom from above, it means that they have good fruit. In other words, they demonstrate positive outcomes. The impact is good, agathos, good, wholesome for others. Fruit always relates to the source and the outcome of the action. Because the desire is pure, the outcome is beneficial for all. And then this kind of wisdom from God is without partiality. In other words, the actions are based on sound judgment and not personal bias. And one of the things that I've seen over the recent weeks and months of as we closed down 2020, moved into 2021 with the polarization of different views is how we get fixed in our positions, how we become biased in our positions and we to the negation on it of everybody else. But the wisdom from above is without partiality. In addition to that, James says wisdom from above is without hypocrisy. They're unfeigned, without disguise. They are sincere, without pretense, and without manipulation. This kind of wisdom results in righteousness, which means integrity, virtue, purity of life, rightness, correctness in living, correctness in thinking, feeling, and acting. Wisdom from above. And then, of course, the result, the outcome is peace. The outcome is harmony and wholeness. A harvest of righteousness sown in peace for those who make peace. James is challenging us in 2021 to actively and passionately pursue the wisdom which comes from above. What James is really getting at is he's challenging us around the purity of our motives and our motivations. You want to be successful? Why? You want to be recognized? Why? You want to achieve? What's driving that desire to achieve? What are the inner motions and emotions that sit under your choices, your actions, and your desires? Who or what is driving you. In his classic book, Ordering Your Private World, pastor and author Gordon MacDonald describes 8 features of a driven person. According to MacDonald, a driven person is most often gratified only by accomplishment. Second feature, a driven person is preoccupied with the symbols of accomplishment. Nice car, nice house, nice partner, and in that order. Okay, a driven person is usually caught up in the uncontrolled pursuit of expansion, bigger, better, more. Number 4, driven people tend to have a limited regard for integrity. In other words, integrity is opportunistic. It is situational. So if it suits me, I'll have integrity. If it doesn't, I'll lie, I'll twist the corner, I'll twist the truth. I'll take corners rather, and I'll twist the truth. Number 5, driven people are not likely to bother themselves with the honing of their people skills. Okay, how you treat people, how you relate to people is not really important to a driven person. It is about what you can achieve. Number 6, driven people tend to be highly competitive. They see each effort or each engagement as a win or lose situation. Here's something interesting. Number 7, a driven person often possesses a volcanic force of anger. Notice what MacDonald says, because it's really, really subtle. A volcanic force of anger. There are people who are quite explosive in their anger, but there are other people that are actually, they have a lot of anger in them, but it never explodes. It never explodes. It drives them. It propels them, but it never quite explodes. They have within them a volcanic force of anger. And the 8th feature of a driven person is they are abnormally busy, they are averse to play, and they usually avoid spiritual worship. Driven. MacDonald suggests that driven people are normally those who grew up in environments where well done was never heard. Another source of drivenness is an early experience of serious deprivation or shame. So backgrounds where people have grown up with extreme poverty, and so because I didn't have when I was a child, and I now have, I start to accumulate, kind of running away, being the antithesis of the deprivation of my childhood. Driven people can also come from backgrounds where there is a sense of great shame and embarrassment. And it's really interesting. So if you have a God who is an angry, withholding father, your theology and your practice of faith is likely to be very driven to please. So enough is never enough. Finally, some people who are driven are simply raised in environments where drivenness is a way of life. Their mother was driven, their father driven, uncles, aunts driven, everyone around them driven. And so they grow up in that where enough is never enough. You have to keep going, keep doing. For Gordon MacDonald, he says the opposite to being driven is a person who is called. Not driven, but called. Driven has to do with what's pushing you from behind. Calling has to do with what is beckoning you forward. A sense of vocation. Called persons are motivated by this sense of vocation and contribution. They are compassionate and they are principled. So what are the features of a called person? Like what James was saying about worldly wisdom and wisdom from above, godly wisdom, called people understand stewardship. They understand that they are given gifts and they have gifts that they need to steward, manage, in order to make a contribution. Secondly, called people know exactly who they are. They know the good, the bad, the ugly. They know what you don't know. They also know what they don't know. And they are open to learning. Called people possess an unwavering sense of purpose. In other words, not that I'm here for, I need to find my purpose, but they have a sense of purpose. What am I doing? Why am I doing it? What's driving? What's the motive? What's the force behind it? Called people practice unswerving commitment. In other words, when called people make a commitment, they keep that commitment. They are disciplined in the execution of their choices. I think it is vital that we reflectively search our hearts and our innermost thoughts to ensure that we're not driven by bitterness, envy, selfish ambition, or strife. That our inner life that our inner life is clean and pure. That our inner emotions are not just the pursuit of success. We're not just parochial or narrow in our perspectives. We're not short-term in our thinking or our seeing. We're not boastful when we talk about our achievements, or manipulative, misrepresenting truth and being disingenuous. We must ensure that we are balanced and in harmony with true and core principles. As we think through the kind of persons we want to be in 2021, I want you to consider yourself a person who is called from above. Challenge yourself to pursue the wisdom that comes from above. Measure your success based on whether or not your actions produce a harvest of righteousness sown in peace for those who make peace. That's the measure. A harvest of righteousness sown in peace for those who make peace. Seek to be pure in your motives, peaceable in your visions and dreams, gentle in how you pursue them, willing to yield where appropriate, full of compassion and empathy. Pursue the highest and best outcomes in every interaction, in every situation, as much as possible. Live and think, judge, engage without partiality or hypocrisy. Seek to live with integrity and virtue. Seek to be a called person, a person who's led by the Holy Spirit, as opposed to be driven by negative spirits and negative attitudes. And so as we go into 2021, I challenge you to passionately pursue the wisdom that comes from above, the wisdom that is orientated around true north principles. God bless you. Peace and love to all of you.
Amen.